Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see everyone's faces. I wanted to jump on before the main attraction and just give you a quick update. I know Coach Houston's focused on our football program right now, and rightfully so, and excited that we're actually able to start camp on time. As I've emphasized multiple times, this is a very fluid situation when it comes to fall sports and football. Most importantly, everything's going to be about the health and safety of our student athletes. We continue to test regularly, and as of today, we've performed 641 COVID-19 tests with student athletes, coaches, and staff. 5 cases remain active. So 641 tests, 5 cases remain active. Every day we continue to preach the importance of wearing a mask and social distancing, and it is a point of emphasis among all of our teams. I'm sure you're aware several other conferences have made modifications to their schedule. We continue to have dialogue with the American Athletic Conference to get more clarity as to where we're going. We have lost 2 non-conference games, South Carolina and Norfolk State. The Norfolk State game we're working on to push to a later year. So we'll be making an announcement probably in the coming weeks. We're going to push that game, 3-4 years down. I've had really good conversations with Ray Tanner at South Carolina. Pretty much all summer, we've been in constant contact. And so my anticipation for that game is to move it to a later year where we would return to Columbia at some point in the future, and then they would still come to Greenville next year. So I've got no indication that that won't happen. Still in discussion about exactly when that would take place. And obviously when that game finalizes and come to fruition, we'll let everyone know. I know there are a lot of questions about if we'll add games, and there's really no answer to that right now. We're going to figure that out in due time. I want to be very mindful and deliberate of what we do. Right now on the schedule as it sits, we have 10 games. We still have Marshall non-conference. I spoke to Mike Hamrick last night at Marshall. We still are committed to playing that game. And then we also have the Georgia State game on October 3rd to comprise our 2 non-conference games. So I want to be very patient and very deliberate as we decide whether we're going to add games or not. My focus right now is on our daily protocols and making sure we keep our student athletes, coaches, and staff safe. We have not made any final decisions yet as it relates to fan attendance, but I do know that we will have a limited capacity with safety provisions in place. We will follow local state guidelines and fully understand that protocols could change from week to week. We're preparing for all different scenarios, just like every school in the country. I would let our fan base know that in the next couple weeks, we will communicate everything once we have a final determination of our plan. I continue to ask for patience and understanding. The things that are on my mind right now, more than anything, is making sure everyone, and I start with our student athletes, our coaches, our staff, our fan base, this institution, this community, this is not going to be a normal fall. This is not going to be a normal football season. We are going to have multiple inconveniences along the way. And I think the teams, schools, conferences, etc., that manage those inconveniences the best are the teams that are going to be most successful. And so I am constantly reiterating to our staff about being able to accept inconveniences and learn to work through them. That's my update in short. I'll be happy to open it up and take some questions.
John, John, what do you think as far as the August 29th date? I know you said there's no clear answers at this point, but for the August 29th game actually happening, do you feel like that's still a good possibility for ECU Marshall, or could it be pushed back?
Stephen, we're looking at every scenario. So when I talked to Mike Hamrick yesterday, what we talked about, what does the game look like if we play it on the 29th, and then what does it look like if we push it back? And so every school is talking about what their plan is from a scheduling standpoint. I'm really comfortable with 10 games right now. And I'm not saying that we won't add a game. I just want to be very deliberate when we do that. Not many schools are looking at playing a full 12-game schedule right now because of the complexities. And so I think we'll know in the next week or so kind of what the first week or two of the season will look like. We are fortunate in that, with Marshall, they're losing the Pitt game that they have the same day we play South Carolina. So the first couple weeks of the season are flexible. In the event we make the decision, we can slide it back a couple weeks. We still are intending to play football. That hasn't changed. But as you all see what's going on across the country, we're all having to deal with positive tests. And really more important than the positive test are the contract tracing that we're all having to deal with. And all of those things are going to have an impact on the season.
John, as far as the American and any decisions they're making, what could you elaborate on kind of the last guidance you got from Commissioner Oresco in that office as far as scheduling and whether that would be a conference-only schedule?
Well, right now the plan is for a schedule is, our last discussion was we're going to continue, obviously, with our conference schedule as is, and then institutions will make a decision on what their non-conference schedule looks like, knowing that we all have the options to adjust when new information becomes available.
Piggybacking on that, John, is there what type of obstacle, or is there any sense with state to state in the league, traveling from state to state, from Texas to Florida to North Carolina? Is that a sense of concern or a problem at all?
Yeah, well, it is a concern for everyone, because there are certain states and certain institutions where they are not fully opened or are still operating under some significant restrictions. And then obviously there's some states where if you travel to those states, you could have to quarantine for periods of time, depending on the school and the location. And so that is very much a concern. And given all these factors that we're working through, I feel for East Carolina in the direction of where we are, again, I think it's premature to run out and start adding games for us, knowing that we still have two non-conference opponents in play that we're working with.
Hey, John, how hard is it when you see what's going on with baseball and that kind of thing, and trying to get all that information and just putting it all together? And what's your day like when you get to work? I mean, you guys talking to other ADs about, hey, you want to play here, you want to play there? I mean, it's got to be complicated.
Well, it is extremely complicated, and I think that college football will probably most likely mirror that of Major League Baseball. They're traveling to venues. They're not in a bubble like the NBA is. And so you're seeing more positive tests and more contact tracing. And so I do anticipate that in college football. We're going to be in residence halls. We're going to be in, institutional facilities that we're not going to be in a bubble. And so I think college football is going to more mirror Major League Baseball.
John, I wanted to ask you about the Playing Rules Committee passing the rule to allow student athletes to wear social justice patches or causes they support on their uniforms. Have you had any student athletes or coaches express interest in wanting to do that for the upcoming season?
Well, we started the racial equality task force with Kim McNeil chairing that for us, and we have some other coaches, staff, and student athletes on that. And I have a call with them on Sunday night at their regular meeting where we are going to talk about that and what type initiatives that we'll do departmentally. I want to do something that is more deliberate, where we all go with a similar message, whatever that message may be. And so I want to start with that group to help determine what that might look like. I wish that the timing is of such. We typically order things in October for the next year. Obviously, we're going to adjust and figure out what we can do from a patch standpoint to make that work.
Mr. Gilbert, I want to just go back to just the previous question where you talked about traveling and the fact that you guys weren't living in a bubble. How do you come in and express positivity? Even this morning, Dr. Fauci had said that it didn't look like there was any end in sight for this spread of the coronavirus. So how do you kind of maintain these plans going forward when you do see what happens in Major League Baseball?
Well, you were breaking up. Was there a back end?
Just when you see some of the positive tests coming out of Major League Baseball, how do you try to move forward with a positive mindset, knowing you guys are in a similar boat?
Well, the good thing is we're dealing with that now, and so our student athletes came in, early mid-June, and so we've dealt with over the course of the last 6-7 weeks, we've had to deal with it, and so there is a understanding from our coaches and student athletes what it is to deal with. Now, we haven't played a game where it's been affected a game, but it certainly has affected, workouts where we pause for a week. We are very fortunate at East Carolina. We have a tremendous medical staff. Our doctor, Dr. Joe Arman, and then our athletic training staff have been outstanding. And so they've been outside the building every morning doing the screenings. When we do have a positive, we have contact tracing. We are, I would say that compared to our peers and the protocols that, schools are doing nationally, I would say that given where we are, East Carolina is in the upper third of what we're doing from a testing and protocol standpoint. So I do feel comfortable with that, but I also understand that what the realities are, and we are going to have to deal with a potential positive, potential contact tracing, and we are, if that happens, we will shut players down, coaches, etc., and we will follow medical guidelines if that happens.
John, can you talk about maybe the range of contingencies as far as admissions are concerned? I know you're selling season tickets, and of course, students are going to want to be there if East Carolina's playing football.
So we're discussing a multitude of scenarios once we land on what the percentage of attendance is. And so as you see, there is a wide range. There are some people that think they're going to have 100% attendance, down to, people are really guessing at about 20% attendance. And so I think everything's on the table. as we look at prioritizing our attendance, if it is in fact a reduced attendance, we would look at a priority of our season ticket holders and our students, and then obviously players, families, visiting team, etc. And so we continue to talk through a multitude of scenarios of what that would look like, from a social distancing attendance standpoint.
John, to follow up with that, and I'm sure you've mentioned this before, is that sort of like scheduling at this point being left up to the institutions, or is that in collaboration with guidance from the American?
Well, it is left up to each institution, but we've also have to work with state and local health officials, whatever each state is mandating, from whatever type of venue we have. So we are going to adhere to that. One of the things that we've been working on extensively, though, is the press box and how we're going to space that out. And I'm really sorry to say that we have already selected who can attend and who cannot. And Patrick, you're one of the guys that is going to be left outside. You didn't make the cut. Now, I have a few people that we could auction off if you're willing to take their place, or maybe they join the Pirate Club and we could get you in that way.
John, you know where I work. You know I can't afford an auction.
Just kidding. We're going to try to accommodate every media member that wants to come. We really do appreciate what you all are doing and how you're doing it.